ERP 5 in 5. 5 barriers that English language learners face.
Barrier number 1, educator beliefs, attitudes, and mindsets. Educators' beliefs, attitudes, and mindsets can lead to deficit thinking, which may result in blaming students and families or seeing them as lacking something. When we adopt a deficit lens, we are unlikely to validate and affirm our English language learners, their intersecting social identities, and their lived experiences as assets to learning. This can affect our instructional and assessment practices, class and school climate, as well as organizational structures related to equity, inclusion, and anti-oppression. As educators, we must explicitly challenge the negative assumptions and biases that we hold based on our own power, privilege, and positionality, as this impacts our classroom practices and interactions. We need to intentionally and purposefully communicate our beliefs that each student is competent and capable to achieve excellence. Our mindsets and practices are at the heart of equitable, inclusive, and effective instruction, assessment, evaluation, and reporting of student achievement.
Barrier number 2, learn English first. There is a false belief that English language learners need to learn English before they can engage in content learning. However, we do not first learn language and then later use it. English language learners must begin to use it as a medium for learning as soon as they enter school, simultaneously developing academic English hand in hand with curriculum. Language acquisition is not a separate subject or time of day, but a systematically supported practice situated in authentic learning contexts of the classroom. Research confirms that when English language learners interact on a daily basis with age-appropriate peers with varying proficiencies of English and home languages in regular classroom contexts, language then becomes a vehicle rather than a barrier to academic success and well-being. All educators can uncover the language demands of their curriculum. In order to understand the academic language, students must be able to access and use to fully participate in the learning. Regardless of students' proficiency in English, English language learners at all STEP and ESL course levels are very capable of engaging in higher order, critical thinking about grade-appropriate concepts through scaffolded opportunities. Authentic collaboration and academic discourse with peers models and scaffolds language development and curriculum learning simultaneously in the safety of small groups.
Barrier number 3, English only. The expectation that English language learners should move to speaking English only at school forces students to assimilate into what is perceived to be Canadian culture. This message communicates to students that their social, cultural, and linguistic identities and lived experiences are not valued or welcomed in learning spaces. Our classrooms and schools need to be identity-affirming spaces where we recognize and cultivate excellence and mastery in students through culturally responsive and relevant practices that honor students and their intersecting social identities. As educators, we have a responsibility to identify, monitor, and dismantle ways in which students' intersecting social identities may be impacted by overlapping systems of disadvantage that are perpetuated within our schools and classrooms. Teaching through a multilingual lens positions students' home languages as an intellectual, social, and cultural asset that is directly related to their overall academic success. Multilingualism should be encouraged as a way to support idea generation, sharing of complex ideas, exploration of new vocabulary, and affirmation of students' linguistic and cultural assets, so that their true brilliance and excellence can be recognized and leveraged to support students in reaching their full potential.
Barrier number 4, the silent period. The notion that English language learners cannot engage in learning because of a silent period leaves students on their own to navigate monolingual spaces, while educators wait for them to be ready. This notion can serve to further marginalize English language learners and silence them. All students are active users of language. How one communicates is dependent on the modes that are used, the spaces one is in, and the opportunities for interactions among people and the environment. As culturally responsive educators, we must welcome and actively listen for and to the voice of English language learners with the intention to understand and inform learning, assessment, and decision-making. When English language learners feel that their voices are valued, they will know that they are an integral part of the learning community, that they matter and belong, and that they have something of value to offer. This elevates their sense of purpose, interest, and desire to succeed both in and out of the classroom.
Barrier 5, low expectations. Low expectations based on deficit thinking about English language learners results in limited pathways and future educational and career opportunities. When determining pathway decisions and program placements, it is a student's aspirations, aptitudes, and knowledge, along with their linguistic strengths, intersecting social identities, and lived experiences that should be used to guide recommendations. These decisions should not be made solely on their current level of English language proficiency or what a student cannot do. When working alongside students and families to make decisions about pathways, it is important to create an intentional and purposeful plan using a multidisciplinary approach. Transparency and ongoing reciprocal communication between students and families is important in determining academic and linguistic pathways and goals for English language learners. Considerations regarding what, when, and how information is communicated with a student and their family is crucial in creating a process where they are important contributors in the decision-making process. Addressing questions that may emerge during this process in a way that is accessible, inclusive, and responsive serves to maintain high expectations and demonstrates that the student's cultural and linguistic assets are considered and valued. This will contribute to equitable and successful learning outcomes for all English language learners as they continue to pursue future educational and career aspirations.